Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Village, where we tell stories about people in the community doing amazing things, the contributions they make, the lives they live, and how they make this thing, go all the way around. Today we got a special guest, somebody that's not from Cincinnati, but has made great contributions to Cincinnati and is a key, important person in our village. And it's a privilege. We got a special guest here. It's an honor. Um, I call you Cali, but should I introduce you as Doctor, or should I just call you?
You
Or
can
you want me to
call me
keep it
Callie.
cool?
You can call me Callie. This is about Callie.
This is about
Yeah, this is
Cali.
about
All
Callie
right.
today. This is
We
a
have a
different
special
interview. I
guest.
appreciate it.
We have Cali here today.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for being here. How
Thanks
you
for having
feeling?
me.
How you
I'm
feeling
feeling
in your body?
good. I'm feeling good.
You know what I mean?
I'm excited about this interview. I really am.
Okay.
Because it's gonna be different.
Yeah.
It's gonna be different.
Yeah,
So
yeah, because
I receive it.
here to learn about you, you know.
Yes. So yeah, I'm
Yeah,
excited
absolutely.
about that.
So, quick, I always like to start off with the Batman, with the origin story, the cave. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? How did you find the cape? What's the beginnings? What's the origin story? Where you from, and what were those early moments like? And just growing up and forming, your truth and your personality. Like, what's the beginning like?
Yeah. Well, thank you for asking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm originally from Detroit.
Okay.
Grew up in the hood, so I call myself a hood chick with a PhD,
I love
right?
it. I love it.
Yeah, from the inner city and everything that comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
I tell people my parents had me when they were 18 and 20.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my father got involved in some stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm an 80s baby, and
Yeah.
so I grew up during the era,
Yeah.
and my mom got into addiction with a lot of other family members, and so I was raised in the streets,
Yeah.
and that's a big part of who I am, And I tell people that no shade to the streets. I love the streets.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it made me who I am. But my grandmother I tell people she was like my walking epistle.
Mm.
She never threw any Bibles at me. I didn't grow up in the church, but she was like walking scriptures. She was a humanitarian, a civic leader. She was a director of a homeless shelter. She adopted her sister's children, having 5 of her own. She had a pantry. First of all, she bought a huge house in the middle of the hood. We called it the big house, right there on the corner. And in her house, she had like 4 levels, but in the basement, there was a whole pantry where she would have diapers, formula, food, clothes, whatever. And at any moment of the day or night, there would be people knocking at her door, looking for things. And so I just grew up amongst the culture of giving and nurturing. I watched my grandmother do that as a single mother, of again, like 10, 11 kids, pretty much, and raised a lot of her grandkids as well, and adopted more after some started leaving out. So she was just absolutely everything to me. Like I said, I watched her just be a giver of all things. I watched her take care of everybody. And that's what she modeled before me. So I learned how to take care of the community, how to take care of family, what that looked like, what that meant. But I often tell people one thing I never ever saw her model was taking care of herself.
Mm.
So she died prematurely, at the age of 53 of her second brain aneurysm. And I just vowed that I'm not a superwoman. I will never be a superwoman. I'm the queen of no. But yet you can still take care of family, take care of community, but also take care of yourself. When she passed, she was like, I want to say like 15 credits shy of getting her EDD.
Word.
So she had a DEN and she had all of her degrees on the wall. And I remember when she passed, I just walked in that room and I said it out loud. I was like, I'm going to match all her degrees, right? She was that generation. I was first generation college student for me, right? So that's what I did. I tried my best to follow in her footsteps. I didn't want to be a statistic. I wanted to do the opposite of what I saw people do in my community. But at the same time, I wanted to solve problems in my community. I was always a natural researcher. I would, it's funny because, my family laughs at it, but I'm like, we would be in a house and crackheads would come in. And I would be like, I'll be sitting there observing, like, okay, we got crackhead number 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
I'm an observer. I'm like trying to figure out, okay, crackhead number 1 is doing this. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
crackhead number 2 then went around the corner, so it's like I've just, I tell people I learned how to read a room before I learned how to read a book. Just growing up in that environment, you get very sensitive about what's going on in your spaces, who's coming in, who's going out, reading people, their energy, their spirit, what they own. Because I had 2 younger brothers. I'm the oldest of 3. And so I was always the protector, of my brothers, smaller than them now, but always the protector. And so, that just built me. That built me into, loving people, the love that I have for people, the love that I have for the community, wanting to be a solution to the problems that I see, and while taking care of myself.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
That's really dope. It's a lot in there. It's a lot in there, and of course, like we can go on and on about your education, and but I want to dive a little deeper. Just from coming from that space and then shifting over to, you live. I want to know a little bit about where you live too, because I don't want to tell that story. But I know you're here in Cincinnati. I want to talk a little bit more about just how that bridge from coming from that environment, cross over in that bridge, and then forming your own practice and doing your own things and creating your own spaces, and how has that like upbringing like really shaped and molded you?
So my mother ended up leaving Michigan, Pontiac, Michigan. So Pontiac, Michigan, but I always say Detroit because it's pretty much like one and the same. You know, my grandfather lived in Detroit and we were there. So it's it's all one and the same.
Yeah.
So she left to move to Nashville when I was 14. So we all moved to Nashville when I was 14. I think we did like not even a full year there, moved back because my grandmother got sick. But in Nashville, I was exposed to so much, like more so colleges and people that were in college. I met some of my best friends while I was 14, 15, and they were freshmen, at Tennessee State University. And so I got that exposure early to like being on the college campus, being in those spaces with those kids, and it just ignited something in me, and I always tell people like it was hard to graduate even high school. But when, like I said, when my grandmother passed and I made that promise to myself and to her and to God that I was going to match all of these degrees, I was like, okay, bet. Like, what do I need to do? What do I need to do to graduate high school? My high school was under-resourced, as we know.
Of course.
But I was always really good in English and literature. Like, I would get accepted into like college prep English classes and writing classes, and I was a writer. I was a poet. When I was real young, I think I was like 9, I wrote my first poem, and I won an award for it. And I realized like, okay, I like writing. So I always dove into books and anything that could like take me out of where I was and just expose me to a whole new world. And books and stories was that for me. So so we moved to Nashville, ended up moving back. I finished up the rest of high school in Detroit, and then I moved back to Nashville. And when I moved to Nashville, graduated school, it was hard to graduate school.
Of course.
Like, no, for real hard.
Yeah.
I didn't have any guidance counselors, anybody, telling me I could go to college or what that could look like. I just had a vision for myself. That's why I love going back and doing this for my communities, because I didn't see anybody that looked like me, talked like, that spoke the language. I didn't have language for I want to go to school. We had the Cosby shows and the different world, and I was like, ooh, like, what is that? So I'm thankful for those spaces or things that was represented. But again, I did have my grandmother, and she was educated. We never talked, I was too young, so she didn't always talk to me about education. But again, she modeled it. I would be in, she was a Zeta. So I would be in like the little debutante sometimes, or, when they would have like community events and I would be involved, but I still didn't know what I was witnessing. And she left too early where I couldn't ask her those questions or talk about education or whatever. So when I figured out how to graduate from high school with a low GPA, all my test scores sucked. Like I barely made it through, right? I had low ACT, SAT, really smart, but no one taught us how to take standardized tests. It's a skill to that, you know? So no one taught us how to do that. My guidance counselors didn't provide information for college or what type of GPAs you needed. All I could see was the step ahead of me. Like, okay, let me graduate from high school. Graduated, got to Nashville. Again, I didn't have the GPA nor the grades to get into a 4-year university. And so I started off at a community college, Nashville State. And I went in asking them. So one thing about me that I'm so grateful and thankful that God gave me, he's always given me vision. Always. Since I was young, I would visualize things. Like I would have images and imageries, and I would be like, okay, this is what I need to make happen, or this is what's been given to me. So he gave me a vision for it. So I went into, Nashville Tech, but like, I'm trying to go to a 4-year university. What do I need to do? What classes do I need to take? So they was just telling me, like, you need to take these prerequisites. Took the prerequisites, got the grades that I needed, got into Tennessee State University. Was not focused.
Yeah.
Me and my girls, although I'm still grateful for the support system in the village that I did have around me. We were all trying to figure it out young, but we called ourselves hot girls. It's like, we was just all about kicking it and partying, but yet still serious about like, okay, we're going to graduate, we got education, whatever. But so again, I'm thankful that I had them as an example because they were always like 2-3 years ahead of me. So my girl taught me how to, apply for financial aid, how to, get refunds, get refund checks, how to live off of them. They just put me up on game. And like I said, I'm so grateful for the people that went before me. And so went to Tennessee State. I majored in business administration. That's like the default. Business administration and psychology a lot of times. And I was just like, always been a natural entrepreneur though. So I was like, anything I can learn related to business, I want to learn it. Again, still didn't have the mind for that, but because I'm young, I'm 18, 19. So got to Tennessee State, and a lot of life happened to me, during that time. Should I be sharing some of that stuff?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, whatever you want to share.
A lot of life happened to me. Coming from where I came from, I was just used to a certain type of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a certain type of environment, So before I left Michigan, I was dating and being in a relationship with men in the streets, what we would call like the dope boys.
Yeah.
That's all I knew. That was what was around me. And so dated those type of guys, moved to Nashville, found the exact same type of, men. And so when I first moved to Nashville, I got into a relationship with a guy that I met there. We ended up staying in touch, picked that relationship back up. Again, he was a D-boy. Shout out to you if you're watching.
Yeah.
I know it's in the past. You're a good person now.
Yeah.
But that's just what we knew.
Yeah.
So got involved with him, and I ended up getting pregnant.
Yeah.
I was 19.
Yeah.
And that pregnancy totally changed and shifted my life because I ended up losing my son. He was born, prematurely, but he was born with a heartbeat. He survived several hours, but he ended up dying, right? So that like spiraled me. When my grandmother passed, that spiraled me. And then when I lost my son, like that spiraled me. Like right now he would be in his early 20s. I still keep up with like, how old he would be. Because I realized through the work that I do, especially I have a passion for young Black boys, young Black men, Black fathers, Black grandfathers. And I always wonder like, why am I always trying to save boys or men? It's like, but one, because I grew up with my brothers and I was always trying to protect them. So I always had like a place in my heart for men, for Black boys and for Black men. And then two, I was always trying to save the versions of my son. Because I wrote something recently and I was like, trauma killed my firstborn. Right? My body going through what I was going through in a relationship, being in just certain environments, having that amount of stress, and trauma your body keeps the score. Us not knowing none of that, my body just couldn't provide life. It couldn't cultivate life. Now I know that. Back then I didn't know that. So I spiraled, dark place. Nobody knew what to do or how to help me. And I just remember like there was weeks and days where I wasn't eating. I wasn't like, they thought they were going to have to hospitalize me. And I just remember like, again, I didn't grow up in church, but I remember getting on the side of my bed and just praying, like praying to God, praying to the God that has always in my mind kept me. And he did, like day by day, I started getting strength. He restored that vision, you know, that he had gave me and started to speak different visions to me about the trajectory of my life and where I needed to go. And I just took that. And every day I just got stronger. I got clearer. I got wiser. I got better. And I feel like from that dark place, God just gave me like 2020. You know, I truly felt like the metamorphosis. I truly felt like my life had died along with my son, like that old life. So when I came to, I didn't have a desire to do any of those old things I used to do.
So one thing you said in there, you're talking about like this voice that you heard, you know, hearing yourself. Coming from that and you experiencing that and you hearing yourself, you know, and then you being like, oh, I'm gonna switch here, I'm gonna move here. How does that show up in your practice now? How do you lead people back to their truth, to their home, to their voice?
Yeah, and that's actually the language that I use. Is like, what is your truth? What is that voice you have on the inside of you? You know, no matter what's going on around you, what is true for you? Because we live in a very noisy world. Yeah, very, very noisy, and many of us don't know what that truth for us is. And so I help people. I have this exercise, you know, that I'll sometimes walk communities, if people are listening, or just individuals through, and it's called like airplane mode. And I have people visualize themselves in an airplane. You know, like, okay, we're in Cincinnati right now. We're in an airplane. Inside this airplane, we're safe, but on the outside, there's a storm going on, right? There's hail, there's wind, it's dark, it's dreary. I want you to feel it in your senses like I'm in this airplane and we're about to take off. So we take off in this airplane, we go high, high, high up into the sky, we're feeling all the turbulence, and we're looking out the window, and it's still dark, it's still dreary, it's still gray, and we're just holding on. You know, we're feeling everything. If you've ever been in a plane and you're feeling all the turbulence, you're like, yo, what's like, this is not it. And you clench your eyes and clench your fist, and you're like just bracing. Then all of a sudden, as you keep going up, you hit a plateau. And it gets real quiet, and it gets real peaceful, and it gets real still, right? And then you start to kind of open your eyes and look out that window, and all of a sudden you see, like, you know, blue skies, a bright sun. The sun is shining, the sky is blue. And you're like, wow, you know, this looks totally different from that place that I was in, right? And so a lot of times these storms, or when you're on a certain level in life, all you can experience is what you see and feel through your senses. But the truth, which is our truth, the truth of the matter is, when you get into higher places in yourself, the truth of the matter was that sun was always shining. The sky was always blue. It was always there. You was just experiencing things on this level. And so helping people get into like airplane mode. It's like, how do you get into higher places of yourself? If it's spirituality, if it's God, you know, whatever you want to call that. For me, it's always been God, where I can hear spirit, the Holy Spirit for me, right? I don't know about everybody else, but for me, it's God's Spirit speaking to me, and it gives me all the truth that I need. You know, and when I find myself into too many of my senses, because with that exercise, I also have something adjacent called facts, fiction, and truth, where we look at the facts of things, which are the things we can experience through our senses, right? I lost my job. That's a fact, right? If a person loses their job, that's a fact. The fiction is the narrative and the story that you might tell yourself based on, I just lost my job, right? So the fiction is, I'm nothing, I'll be nothing, I'll forever be broke, I can't take care of my family, I can't take care of nothing in life. But the truth of the matter is, what is your higher vision for yourself, right? Have you stopped and thought about that? Like, do you have a sense of faith? Do you have a sense of trust? Do you have a sense of surrender? Or are you totally and completely relying on what's factual right now? Because I do believe we live in a day and time where we're going to have to get delusional about our joy, about visions, about goals, about,
Okay, poet.
really, we're going to have to get delusional about this stuff and obsessed about it. We have to be able to see things through the lens of faith. Like, I got to see things that's not really there, but I got to see that they're there. Yeah. And for me, that's how I've lived my whole life. Like, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to achieve the type of things that I've achieved. I'm not supposed to go from the hood to Harvard, right? It was just based on my stats, the odds were always against me, And then the type of places I've had to navigate, like, I just was not supposed to be here, but my vision saved me. God saved me. Being loyal to my legacy saved me. And those are the things that still save me to this day. It still keeps me, right? So, being able to tap into truth and have people sit and get quiet. I'm not saying you have to totally quiet your mind, because some people's minds is so noisy. Yeah. The narratives are there, the voices are there. It's hard to calm that. Let's sift through all of that. Then let's find out who your voice, what is your voice? What does that look like for you? Let's calm our nervous system, right? Let's get some breathing in. Let's activate our parasympathetic systems, and all of these things where we don't know that everything is a condition and everything is a wiring. When you go through experiences in life, it wires you a certain kind of way. So that's like the work that I'm currently doing and bringing to spaces, especially here in Cincinnati. It's called Wired Hope. It's a
expound on that.
Yeah, it's a mental health app connected to community experiences where I teach people through, different exercises, 2 of which I just brought here. Different exercises, different ways to assess what's going on in your life, and then bringing solutions. But through that, it helps to rewire your mindset, rewire how your body's conditioned. Because a lot of times we'll think like, okay, I'm going through this thing, I'm just going to write a goal down and I'm going to achieve it. Yes, that's part of it, but your body is on autopilot. Your mind is on autopilot. There's you're going to have to rewire, your mindset. It's called you're going to have to develop new neural pathways.
Of course, yeah.
Neuroplasticity. You're going to have to create a whole new way of existing here. And we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
We do not talk about that, but we will talk about self-medicating, doom scrolling, procrastinating. How are we filling these voids that, we know we're feeling empty. So I actually, through this app, it'll walk people through different exercises, skills, tools, guided meditations, visualizations, and then from there, connect them with community.
I love that.
Because community is so important. Yeah. We don't do all of this alone. Yeah. So connecting them with places and spaces that feel nourishing, that feel meaningful. Yeah. With like-minded people, create a tribe, create a village. Yeah. And I'm going to do this in different cities and states where I've built relationships and connections.
That's beautiful. Yeah. That's fire.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, you should be. Is that app, so these guided meditations, will these be like voices from different people? Will they be your voice? Would it how would these guided things be? Is this AI? Like, what does that look like?
Great question. So it will be AI generated. That's the next way. It's not the next, it's here.
It's here.
Right. If you ain't in it, you're gonna get left, right? So it is AI created and generated. I am currently right now training AI. So I'm training an AI bot to mimic me, right? By the way my style of therapy, my style of connection, my style of even speaking. I will have some guided meditations that I will lead.
Of course.
That'll be my voice.
Yeah, we need you. Of course.
Yeah. And I may have other visitors or other people come in and put some on as well, but it will, function off of AI. So when people put in their assessments based on I created a model called FitCare, FITCARE, and the F stands for, family dynamics. So the AI will assess based on your family dynamics, based on the intersex of your identity. Like you're a man, you're male, you're a black man. What does your family look like? What does this look like? What does that look like? So to look at the different intersects of your identity, you're an artist. You know, I don't know what your attachment style is, but you know, all of that matters.
Yeah.
T is the trauma history.
Mm.
Have you experienced any levels of trauma? What does that look like? Has that been in childhood? Has it been based on your identities? Sexual trauma, emotional, mental trauma, you know, or just showing up in the world. How have things experienced you? Because we all experience life differently. So this AI will use that level of intelligence to look at all of those things. Then you get into C, you know, community. What does your community and culture look like? Which is very important. And these go into more so of like the resources that's available. Your community. A is the access to resource, because we can talk about things, and I dislike greatly when people are online or people are in the community when you tell people what they need, but you don't show them how to get it, or you don't give them steps or tools,
absolutely.
or you just, you know, so it's gaslighting.
Yeah,
it's like,
I
yeah,
agree.
you got problems, but
Yeah.
you know, I'm not going to tell you how to solve this, or
agree.
it's too much information. You don't know what to believe. You don't know what to hear.
I agree.
So a lot of this is backed by science and truth. And when I say truth, again, it's things that I'm not just talking about, but I've lived through, I've helped other people walk through, and I've seen the actual results, you know? So the A, access to resources. R is the actual rewiring process. So there will be a set, you know, scale of things that people will do every day to start rewiring their mindset. And then the E is the education and the execution of it all. So education is very important. So being able to talk to people about like, hey, this is what's going to go on through this process. This is what neurotransmitters are. These are, you know, this is neuroplasticity. It's not always the sexy thing to talk about. So I'm going to break it down into our language. And when I say R, that don't mean just hood or inner city. You know, that means as a human. How do we explain this to a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old, you know?
I like that.
And so, and again, the AI is going to be, you know, trained based off of how you are engaging the space and the app. So so it'll start to, as you know, chat GPT.
Yeah.
The more you talk to it, the more you engage with it, it picks up on the nuances of your personality, all of these things. So there will also be a journaling part to it that AI will pick up on and be able to speak to the things that you're experiencing and you're going through. But again, I don't want everything to just be disconnected. Like, I'm thankful for the tool that AI is. That's why I'm also creating the community adjacent to it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we're going to all, because everybody's online doing stuff with their phones anyway. So yeah, we're going to capitalize and take advantage of you already being on your phones. You know, we're going to lean into that. But then we're going to actually connect you with human beings. You know, we're going to connect you with community. There's a loneliness epidemic.
Absolutely.
People are starving for nourishing places and space and meaningful experiences, things of substance. So really wanting to connect people with like-minded spaces. And this is family. This is like not just for men or for women or for kids or for youth. It's going to be for the whole family. Because I do believe that in order to build healthy communities, we have to build healthy families. We have to build healthy individuals. That'll build healthy communities and healthy nations, right? So that's where it's going.
Nah, I love it. That's thank you for that, and I appreciate that. Even though I'm looking forward to when it all comes, because I'm just like, that's a contribution that we need. And shout out to my good friend Yetta from Germany. She's not doing what you were doing, but it's something like in that world of like infusing AI and soul and, you know, and creating community. So that's dope. I'm curious to know, like, you had a nugget in there, and then after this, I'm going to dive in. I want to know a little bit more about some other things, but I'm curious to know, just from your perspective and, you know, your expertise and, you know, you seeing the landscape of things and you having a daughter and you being around younger people, and what do you see? Like, how can we help them develop? How can we help them grow? And how can we help them to develop their voices and rewire themselves early so they don't become, you know, this other thing? How can we fill those gaps early? You know, what is your perspective on that?
Yes. So I love that question because I do have a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
She's 11, about to be 12 next month, you know, and me cultivating her is so important. Helping her to find her voice is so important. You know, and so one thing that I do just as an individual, as a mom, is I model in front of her being a messy human. You know?
Yeah, that vulnerability.
Yeah. I model that in front of her. You know, we have big conversations. We deep dive. You know, she's her own little therapist. Even at school, the adults love her. The kids are confused by her, you know, because she's so precocious. She's so intelligent. She's so emotionally intelligent because we talked about her emotions since she was little. You know, at a very young age, how does this make you feel? What does that mean for you? What do you need? What do you want? You know, so, and always telling her that who she is so important. However she's showing up in the world is so important. So it is challenging to, I think, create spaces of safety, emotional safety for our kids, and yet them still experience this world.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's easy, but we have to be very intentional. And that's one of the reasons why I am creating this kind of space. Because even with the app and what I'm doing, it'll break things down based on age.
Yeah,
you
so
know,
like,
it'll
so a kid
have,
can,
a kid can engage it. They'll have like, you know, and me learning her too and what she likes in her world and different things that she does, it helps inform me.
Of course.
That's like, oh, this is something I need to include. Like, okay,
Got the cheat
kids
code.
like to game. Kids like gaming. Kids like, you know, this is that and this. But I'm also teaching them too how to slow down. Everything doesn't need to be fast paced. You know, and that's going to be a challenge because, again, everything's a condition and everything's a wiring. And if you know anything about what goes on the internet, and she's not on social media, I do allow her to be a critical consumer of certain places because that's their world. So, you know, she's a creative. So she likes to draw and write, and she has niche things that she enjoys. So I let her, you know, get in some of those communities. But I'm teaching her how to be a critical consumer of technology.
I like that.
You know, like, how are you feeling in your body? Does your eyes hurt? Did you experience something that made you feel away? Has things been appropriate? Okay, we're shutting this down. We're taking a break. We're unplugging. And so there will be moments when I catch her. I don't even have to say anything. She's doing it. You know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, she's getting it. But on this app, I want to teach kids how to be kind to their minds, how to check in with their bodies.
Yeah, important.
You know, how do you feel right now? Not in a like, but it'll be in a fun, creative way.
Of course.
You know, so we may do this breathing exercise and they may pick a color out of it or a character, and this character is doing like, they create like, what do you want this character to do while you're breathing? We want this character to jump. Yeah. So when I breathe in, they're up in the air. When I breathe out, they're landing. Do you want this character to now on your next breath do a flip? Yep. They're flipping, they're landing. Yeah. Do you want this character to take a nap? Yep. I breathe in, they lay down. I breathe out, they're getting up, right? So just different things. Figuring out, okay, how do you be creative? Or if it's music that they want to engage, okay, what do you want to make a beat? Do you want to write something? But while we're doing these things and while they're engaging that, they're checking in with their bodies. They're checking in with themselves. And then they'll create affirmations around those types of things, you know? So I can do things, and I am worthy, and I am kind. I am creative. I am funny. I belong here. I do have friends. You know, people do love me. It's just in that recondition. So that's the way in which I'm helping kids to rewire themselves.
I love that. That's beautiful. That's so fire. Yeah, thank you for that. And we need that, and we need that work, and we need that contribution. Yeah, that's dope. That's really cool. I'm looking forward to that. And I just love just how you're infusing AI and soul, and you're bringing them together, you know, and that's a beautiful thing. I love how you're co-creating that space.
Yeah, I'm sure. really, really excited about it. And that's one of the reasons why I feel like I'm still in Cincinnati. Cincinnati shout out to Cincinnati, an amazing community of entrepreneurs and founders like I've never experienced, you know, and it's been small enough yet expansive enough for me to build community, for me to build relationships, for me to get funding. Like I just recently got a grant funding to work on my project.
Love that.
I know.
Congratulations.
Shout out to Main Street Ventures.
Yeah.
Centrifuge, I'm coming for you because I want that biggest, accelerator grant to continue to build this. I was a part of Flywheel's accelerator program where they gave me some roots in some things. Like my background is academia. Although I've always been an entrepreneur, tech is a new space for me.
Yeah.
It's
real.
But I'm thankful to learn it. Shout out to Black Tech Week, involved there too, Lightship, all of these. And so these are, places that I'm shouting out, that I'm building relationship with, that I'm building community with, that is helping me move this vision along. So Cincinnati, I think, will always be a catalyst for my business, for the vision, for what I'm doing. So it'll always I'll always be anchored here in some kind of way. It's not my forever.
Yeah, I love that. Hey, I feel you.
But it's I will always have some type of roots here. I didn't left and came back. I did all types of things.
It'll do that to you.
Yeah, no, but it's I'm not from here.
Yeah,
but
sure.
It's been helping to cultivate a lot of my vision.
Yeah.
Related to a lot of this. So I've loved it for that.
It's great for that. I would say, like, I echo that, like, I'm from Cincinnati, and like Cincinnati, I tell everybody, you got an idea, it's a great training ground.
Yes,
like you can train here, you can find that voice, refine whatever you're working on, and then like take it somewhere else. And it'll have in Cincinnati will help you create a texture like nowhere else. Like you'll be somewhere else.
I totally
know
agree.
What I mean?
Yeah, I believe in that. And but I also am not gonna be that person who, which we often see a lot of, is use up the resources and not leave something. So I also see where I'm thankful for the ecosystem, but I'm also planting seeds and making deposits. I'm going to leave something here. Similar to I'm going to leave something in Detroit. I'm going to leave something in Nashville. I'm going to leave something in Dallas.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave something on the East Coast, on the West Coast. And these are places where I have built, shout out to Boston, Harvard, leaving something there. So I love that. I love that God has given me a vision of foresight. And I'll leave that there. I love how he's given me just vision, and he's called me to be a planner in different places.
I love that. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. So now, got a couple more questions. These are pretty light. I always ask all my guests, if they tell me about their work and their practice and all the amazing things they're doing. I'm always curious to know, who's Cali outside of all this? How does Cali rest? You know what I mean? How do you rest? How do you recharge? What do you like to do for fun? You know what I mean? Like, what do you do like to, how do you like to enjoy yourself? What are those things? Like, tell me about that.
I love that question. I love it. My family is everything.
Yeah.
Shout out to my family. I'm just shouting out everybody. My family is everything, and that's where I go to recharge.
Yeah.
I lean into the things that water me.
Yeah.
Going to Nashville with my mom and my brothers, my immediate family's there. Going back to Michigan, I was just there for like 3 weeks. With my uncles and my cousins, and and that was so nourishing. And being able to bring my daughter back there, going to Atlanta, hanging out with my sister. I love family. Yeah. So traveling is my form of self-care.
Love that.
And getting lost into culture. I love going somewhere foreign, somewhere that, and it doesn't even have to be out of the country. Sometimes, yes, I love being out from America. Shout out to all the other places we can be.
Yeah.
But just getting lost in nature. I love water. I love bodies of water.
Same.
I love sunsets. I'm so grateful and thankful for where I live right now because it's next to a body of water. So every morning I get to wake up to like a sunrise that's reflecting off water. At night, a sunset or the moon that's reflecting. I just love it. Like it does something for me.
Yeah.
Jealous. I love that. I love creating. Like one thing people don't know about me, like I am a creative.
Yeah.
I am. I love writing. I buried that for a long time in me, right? The poet in me. I would write, like I have, gosh, like notebooks on top of notebooks on top of notebooks. I was supposed to write books, right? I know I got books in those notebooks, but I'm a writer.
Yeah.
And it shows in my work and how I creatively do my work. But yeah, those are the things that I just love to do. I love nature's art.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you have that. Well, one more thing.
Yeah.
What do you have to say to any young person out there that may tap in, that may see a clip on Instagram, that just anybody out there searching, trying to figure out their path, trying to figure things out, whatever you want to share. What are some last words you want to share, to people out there?
I would say trust your truth and find it. Find that voice, find your truth and trust it. Anchor yourself in it. And if you haven't found it yet, let that be your work. Let that be your life's work. I encourage people, once you find that voice of truth, again, anchor in it, allow it to take you wherever you need to go, and then be loyal to your legacy. Right? I'm a fan. I'm not just a fan, but that is like, find out what that is for you. Be loyal to it so you can leave this world empty. One of my mottos is die empty, leave nothing to the grave. From one of my great mentors, Dr. Miles Monroe. He passed some years ago, but I went to one of his talks and he wrote in my book, and I never read, like I didn't open the book for years, and he had passed. But I mean, he was like a mentor. Like I've met him several times, and I told him, I was like, can you be like my mentor from afar? He laughed, but so, one of the last things that he gave me was that book, and he wrote in it. And again, I didn't look in it. And years later, he wrote Die Empty. And I was like,
that's fire.
That's it.
That's fire.
That's it. That's for me.
That's fire. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, you are amazing. Yeah. And if nobody else gonna say it, I always like to tell the amazing people that they come here to the space. It's like, yo, we appreciate your contribution.
Thank you.
Thank you for being in our city. Thank you for contributing to our community. Thank you for generating the ideas that you're thinking about and bringing tech and innovative things to our space. We just thank you, and we appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
This has been amazing.
Of course. Yeah. And there it is. That's another episode of The Village, where we tell stories about people doing amazing things in our community. You heard it from Cali. You heard from the origin story, to the beautiful app, finding herself through education, finding her voice, her truth. It was an amazing interview, and I'm looking forward to y'all tapping in with it. Peace.